Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway, race 4 of this 2013 NASCAR Nationwide Series season. You want star power? How about this one? Forget about the drivers. It's the track. So let's go trackside. Get this afternoon rolling.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats. Veterans, please render a hand salute as the Cherokee High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as David Wilson of Raceway Ministries offers today's invocation.
Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you for such a beautiful day today. God, we give you glory for this opportunity to come and have this fun this weekend. Father, I pray for the safety of every driver, crew member, fan, and person in this place. Father, we give you thanks today for our military. We thank you and praise you that they keep us free, that we can do this. God bless them and keep them safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
In honor of our troops, please place your hand over your heart and welcome country music artist Benton Blount as he performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in it, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free, in the home of the brave.
Bristol!
40 drivers are ready to climb in their cars for 300 very fast, very physical laps here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And as we bring in Alan Bestwick, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie, we might as well introduce the 41st player out there today.
Yeah, absolutely, Nicole. As we were getting ready to come here to Bristol, Dale Jarrett made the statement that the track is the story here. Why?
Well, Alan, for a number of reasons, every driver that comes here wants to visit that victory lane, but it's so hard to do. You have to encounter so many things. These drivers are going to be turning laps under 16 seconds per lap. They're going to encounter traffic that may be 15 or 20 miles per hour slower. They have to know or try to guess which way they're going to move to give them room to race on the track. Is the groove going to move around from the bottom to the middle all the way to the top? These are things as a driver you have to encounter. And also, then, if something should happen in front of you, things happen so quickly, you basically get one chance to miss that. And if you're lucky enough to do that, you might go to victory lane. And if you had your shield down, we might not know if you had your eyes open or closed whenever you missed that.
So all that's going on the track, and what's going on the pit lane. It'll be pretty busy there, too.
Yeah, it seems more times than not the races here at Bristol are decided by pit strategy. Both races, the winner of the races last year did something different than the other competitors, and it paid off really good for him. Elliott Sadler stayed out when everybody pitted on a late caution. Right here, we see Joey Logano make an early pit stop before a competition caution that came on lap 47 later, where he stayed out and then gained his track position back, and he kept it the rest of the day. So we'll look for pit strategy to be a big, important factor here today.
Lot to go on pit road, lot to go on the racetrack here at Bristol. Things do happen very quickly here. at this very unique racetrack. One of the things that makes it unique, 2 different pit lanes, front stretch and back stretch, and 2 different procedures for pitting. Caution flag, it's treated as one long pit road. You come in off turn 2, got to run that pit road speed limit around 3 and 4, and you go back onto the racetrack in turn 1. In the unlikely event of a green flag stop, you just use the pit road on your assigned side of the racetrack. For more on the different stories at the corners of that pit lane, we go to Dave Burns.
Alan, even when things slow down here at Bristol, they're still very, very fast on pit lane, especially if your stall is located at pit entrance off turn 2. You don't have time to debate about what to do, how to make your race car better. The crew chief makes a snap decision, and then he lives with it as his driver crawls away at 30 miles per hour down pit road toward turn 3 and Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Dave, they'll thread of needles. They come down what is a very narrow pit road to one of the most coveted pit stalls in all of Bristol, right here where front row starter Austin Dillon is pitting. Why did he pick this pit? Because, folks, it's easy in, easy out, no one in front of you, but got to be careful. Can't speed, headed over to turn 2 where it gets very congested. Right, Jamie Little?
Right, Doc, and the guys who are pitting down in this section right off turn 4 on the front stretch are going to have to contend with traffic all day long. Some will have already pitted on the back stretch, while others will still need to stop down that way. So there's a lot of different agendas, and the only way to avoid the chaos here is to pit down there where Vince Welch is standing by.
Pole winner Justin Allgaier will enter the pits under yellow over in turn 2, and he'll make his way all the way around the track, and then he'll come and he'll pit here in pit stall number 1. And by the time he gets here, his crew chief will have had the luxury of having an idea of what their competitors are doing for strategy on pit road. And Allgaier also has an open box on exit and a clean path back on the racetrack. This is a pit spot that could make a difference in who goes to victory lane. Alan?
All right, Vince, we begin finding out who goes to victory lane, the journey from green to checkered. When we come back to Thunder Valley, the command to start engines is next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at Bristol is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side.
A beautiful sunny 68-degree afternoon here in East Tennessee as we get ready to go racing at the world's fastest half mile. There is a chance of weather moving in later and another race to be run after this one today, so NASCAR has moved up the start by just a couple of minutes. That makes it time right now for us to go trackside and fire them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Grammy Award-winning comedian Jeff Foxworthy and the guest of Speedway Children's Charities, Ray Boggs, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Chris, you on safe fuel here, or are you sure of that? Just keep running it right here. Let's say he get in it. All fans will be up in it.
Very appropriate for Mr. Foxworthy and guests to help start it up because this is the Jeff Foxworthy's Grit Chips 300. And race fans, we remind you to check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy and watch all the race coverage live today from Bristol, including 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboard at NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Our ESPN in-race reporter today drives that Roush number 6 Mustang. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee, just up the road from here. We'll talk to Trevor Bayne next. Bristol, Tennessee, in the very eastern part of the state where Bristol Motor Speedway is set to host the NASCAR Nationwide Series in the 4th race of the year. We're about 100 miles away from Knoxville, Tennessee, which is the hometown of today's ESPN in-race reporter, Trevor Bayne. Get ready to roll out onto the racetrack in his number 6. Let's dial him up.
Hey, Trevor, Dale Jarrett with ESPN. I know every driver that comes here wants to win and go to this victory lane, but I'm sure there's some more so than others, and with you being from Knoxville close by, I'm sure you have a lot of family and friends here, hoping that is the case today. Added pressure for you?
You know, it's no added pressure, but Bristol is one of my favorite tracks. It's my home track, and it's the place I'd love to win at. Victory lane's awesome over there in turn 3 and 4, and I'd like to be looking at the rest of the racetrack from that spot after this race. Really want to get these guys to victory lane. They've done a solid job so far this year. A lot of good, strong runs, but we're looking to finish the deal, and this will be the place to do it. I know it's going to be a really long, hard-fought race, but we're willing to do that, and we're going to stay until the end.
Trevor, our next question comes from our mailbag, and Dustin in Harrisonburg, Virginia asks, what is the toughest challenge at Bristol? The racing, lap traffic, or pit stops?
It's all of it, man. It all plays into account here. You've got to be able to work traffic well. You've got to have a car that can pass. Because when you get to that lap traffic, you got to be able to go. You know, and it is a close race, so you're door-to-door people the whole time, mentally, physically. Things just happen in fast forward here at Bristol. You know, if something happens under green, your pit crew's got to be ready. Pit stops, you know, your crew chief's got to think fast about what the car needs. But I got the best guys here. I trust them, and see if I can't get this Ford EcoBoost Mustang to victory lane later.
All right, Trevor, you have a good day. Thanks for talking with us. Now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Mike Kelly.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Mike Kelly, Andy in the booth up here. We know how important pit strategy can be here at Bristol, and we know Goodyear brought a new tire, a new left side tire. How is that going to affect maybe how you call this race and how the pit strategy could get you to victory lane today?
That's a really good question. You know, it's a new tire for the Nationwide Series. We only get one set to practice on, and what we've seen was a lot of left side wear. So it's going to change up what we're thinking. You know, normally we'd come down here, we might put 2 tires on left sides or right sides, but no one knows what this left side's going to do. We're going to have to play it safe here early. Might have to put 4 on early and see what we got, try and get our track position at the end. But there'll be some guys that'll gamble. There'll be some guys that'll pay the price. So it's going to be a fun, exciting day here.
Yeah, I guess you'll probably play that by how many pit stops do you think we can count on today?
I was talking to Trevor about it before the race. I bet you'll see the leaders might not pit at the end, but you'll see some guys 4th, 5th, and back. I think tires are going to mean something. You'll see 3 or 4 pit stops here today for the guys.
Okay, Mike, thanks for talking to us, man. Have a good day.
Mike Kelly, crew chief for Trevor Bayne, our ESPN in-race reporters today, carrying our over-the-wall camera. The man who's going to handle the jack on Trevor's pit stops, Richie Williams, all set to go for Roush Fenway Racing. Have a great race today. We'll keep an eye on you.
Yes, sir.
And some great high-definition onboard views today for the action here in Bristol. I count 13 Bristol Nationwide wins among this group. Austin Dillon with the AdvoCare camera, Trevor Bayne with the Scotts on board, 2-time winner Elliott Sadler with the Toyota camera, Sam Hornish Jr., last week's winner with the Goodyear on board, Brad Keselowski, former Bristol winner, the Ford EcoBoost camera, former Bristol winner Justin Allgaier, the Nationwide Insurance camera.
All right, have a good day. You guys done an awesome job. Real proud of everybody, and looking forward to getting this thing rolling here. Big picture. We're just going to find a hole and ride here and keep as much track position as we can, and we'll get him at the end.
Allgaier choosing the outside lane for the start from pole position. 5-time Bristol winner Kevin Harvick's got our Chevy on board today, and 4-time Bristol winner Kyle Busch has a Nationwide Insurance camera. Check out this group that you will ride with today here on the world's fastest half mile.
Looks like we picked the right ones to ride with.
Yeah, and we can probably add to that total by the time this day's over.
Pretty good chance the group's going to come out. The winner's going to come out of that group, huh?
I really believe so.
Yeah. All right, so 300 laps is the distance today. You heard pit strategy, very much a question mark. The weather forecast, well, initially earlier in the week was one that called for maybe a little rain and a little gloom on this Saturday, but it is sunny, 68 degrees, a 0% chance of rain in the forecast through about 7 p.m. tonight. Plenty of time to get the race in. So here we go as the pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn down onto the pit lane. Austin Dillon in the 3 with the inside lane, and pole sitter Justin Allgaier in the 31 on the outside, and 300 laps of fast and frantic Bristol action beginning now. Allgaier leads lap 1. Nemechek shot off the racetrack, scraped the wall, off camera. He continues, no caution.
A rather tame start by Bristol standards here.
How about this? 11, 22, and 33 racing for position.
Yeah, those are 3 to keep an eye on today, too, because all 3 of these drivers are excellent here at Bristol.
Elliott Sadler 11, Brad Keselowski 22, 33, Kevin Harvick. As for the lead, Austin Dillon, check that for second. Austin Dillon with a look on the 7 of Regan Smith.
Yeah, Regan Smith was fast in both the practice sessions yesterday. If we're going to add to that list we were just talking about, this 7 car may be the one to do it.
Elliott Sadler going to lose 3 positions here. Keselowski's by him, Harvick's by him. Now Brian Scott in the deuce to the outside of the 11.
You can see that lane, the preferred lane, seems to be in the middle upper part of the racetrack, and you can see that's where Elliott Sadler's kind of stuck on the bottom. He's got a hole now if he wants to get behind Brian Scott. Won't be there long, though.
Sam Hornish Jr., that yellow 12, last week's winner at Las Vegas and the championship leader early in the season, trying to get third position from Austin Dillon.
It's just so hard to get a car that'll hook up on the bottom. You see right there, Sam just needs that extra 3 feet coming up off the corner to make the back end of that thing hook up. It's really hard to get the rear tires to hook up from that bottom lane.
You can see him trying to make that pass then. He actually cost Sam 1 spot, possibly 2 here, before he slams the door on Kevin Harvick.
And 22 on the move, Brad Keselowski. Former winner here at Bristol. Knows how to get it done, says it's one of his favorite racetracks, loves the challenge here, and a little trading paint there with Dillon.
When I watch Brad Keselowski drive this racetrack, whether it's in a Cup car or these Nationwide cars, he reminds me of watching Rusty Wallace or racing against Rusty Wallace. He really makes his car go through the center and gets good drive off. That's why he's able to make passes. Not going to make this one, as Sam Hornish is going to look to take that spot back on the outside.
Now, at a lot of racetracks, some damage on the right front fender, like Keselowski just suffered, bouncing off Dillon there, would be a real big cause for concern. 3 wide here.
Yeah, this is cause for concern.
That's Brad Teague in the 70. And Kyle Busch rolling toward the front in the 54. Back to that 22 for just a second. How worried about that fender would you be if you're his crew chief?
Not bad. I mean, it definitely is not something that you want to deal with, but it's not near as bad here as what it would have been last week at Las Vegas or any of the high-speed racetracks. It seems like you can get away with some body damage here and still do well.
Here, just how little they're off the gas.
Yeah, and you can see already encountering this lap traffic. This is going to be a big issue today. We've got some cars I'm not sure that are right now up to the minimum speed. They're going to have to pick it up a little bit if NASCAR is going to leave them out there, because they become just a rolling chicane out here. This place is hard enough.
Well, caution free so far. And Justin Allgaier from pole position has led all of the laps, but we have just gotten started here at Bristol, Tennessee. Just underway with the NASCAR Nationwide Series 300 lapper at Bristol, Tennessee. Justin Allgaier and Regan Smith running 1 and 2, and in some very heavy traffic. That's where it gets a little dicey around this place.
Yeah, especially as the leader, you're the first one to encounter these lap cars, and you're not exactly sure what they're going to do, what lane they're going to give you, and you can see Regan Smith is now closed right up to Justin Allgaier.
5-car Brad Sweet was involved in a wreck yesterday in practice, and a nasty-looking one at that, so he has gone a lap down here early in the going in that 5.
He did get a few laps of practice after he went to this backup car, but it looks like he's still struggling with it.
Kyle Busch continuing to impress in this early going. Driver who starts on the pole for tomorrow's Sprint Cup race here. Took the green flag today. Back in 13th position. And he's racing Austin Dillon here for the number 5 spot.
Boys, I've got a spin off turn 4 here.
55. Jamie Dick goes around. Doesn't hit anything, and the caution's out.
There's a lot of racing going on in that group that they had. There was some lap cars.
It ain't hurt.
Not sure he didn't probably get a little help there, but Sam Hornish and a few others were trying to work their way through.
Yeah, just like what you were talking about, Dale, there's so many slow cars that these leaders are trying to get by. See Sam Hornish trying to work by a couple of them here, and he runs up on Mike Harmon.
Yeah, this is off of turn 2 here as they get down into turn 3. See Hornish gets clipped a little bit, and then I believe clipped the 55.
'74 is Mike Harmon.
It's one of the problems here at Bristol. You got cars with that are running such different speeds, and there's just nowhere to go. You just nowhere to hide here.
And so the first caution out here at Bristol today. This race a year ago not very many cautions, but the race here last August, after that top lane was ground down, quite a few more. We'll see how this one turns out today. On with Elliott Sadler as you look at the trouble in front of him.
See that slow one at the very bottom now. He's on the bottom. He's on the bottom. He's in the middle. He's on the bottom. Yeah, get there. Get there. Come on, top. Come on, top. Come on, top. Come on, top. Clear. Nice.
Coming to the restart at Bristol, don't forget to check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy for live coverage of today's race with 10 HD live race views and more. NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. Justin Allgaier, 31 outside lane. Regan Smith, 7 inside lane for the restart. None of the leaders pitted this yellow. Kevin Harvick trying to fill that outside lane on the 7. See if he can get second spot.
Well, Hornish, the 2 and the 3 were all 3 wide coming off of turn 4. They made it work that time.
And again, Sam just can't get clear of that car. Now he does for that last 3 feet of track that you're talking about he needed.
Yeah, as a driver, you're kind of holding your breath, waiting for your spotter. You're thinking, what's taking you so long? Tell me I'm clear so I can move up.
Sam is one of the few cars we've seen make a pass on the bottom and make it clear.
He was extremely aggressive on that restart for sure.
Kevin Harvick was as well, so Harvick up to second now in the 33. Regan Smith 7, Keselowski 22, Kyle Busch 54. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th before you get back to Hornish in 6th and Brian Scott in 7th.
Oh, trouble. Elliott Sadler into the wall.
Shuffled up out of the groove. You can see the right rear corner of the car. Nicked up. Down at the bottom of the fender.
Just starting to mention, really see yesterday, these cars get this high up on the racetrack. So there's not a lot of rubber up there. They keep trying to move this groove up higher and higher, though, which is what we saw last August.
Elliott was running 9th when this happened. Now Vince looks like he got away with one there.
Indeed, and spotter Elliott Sadler told him just keep going unless you feel a tire going down, because from his view the right side looks fine despite that contact. The only problem with the car Elliott had reported before that contact was the car was just too tight on throttle and he felt like he didn't have the rear grip that he needed to go forwards.
All right, Vince, so Sadler now back to 18th position. And that's a lot of track position to give up here.
Yeah, especially with a race car that's not handling very good. That makes your job of trying to move back forward even more difficult.
You see, these slow cars still an issue for these leaders.
Yeah, the biggest thing is they're always an issue, but they're so much slower. And that makes it so difficult because you really have a hard time from the driver's seat seeing around here. And so when you encounter that, it makes it that much more difficult.
Keselowski still working on Smith there for 3rd place. Let's talk about that visibility for just a second, Dale. The banks here up to 28 degrees when you're in the higher side of the racetrack. Roll bars and other safety apparel when you're trying to look ahead around that corner can be a problem.
Yeah, you really just can't see. And as we talked about, they're turning laps under 16 seconds here, so everything's happening so quickly. You just can't see far enough ahead if something should happen there to really make a good evasive move.
Yeah, a few times I've had a chance to drive a race car around here. It's really weird how you have to look straight up at the roof when you're in the middle of the corner because of the high banks, and the visibility is extremely limited.
Kevin Harvick doesn't seem to have much of a problem looking out his here.
Well, his view's getting ready to get a whole lot better.
5-time Bristol winner in the Nationwide Series. Kevin Harvick trying to get the lead from Justin Allgaier.
It's pretty obvious that Harvick has a little bit better race car than Allgaier does at this point, but it's going to be interesting to see how he works this groove because he really needs that top groove to make the pass.
Yeah, you know, the thing that's changed about this racetrack is this used to be the same thing that used to happen on the very bottom of the racetrack. You could run somebody down, but then making that pass was the difficult part of your day. Now it's moved to the top side. You've got a lot of room on the bottom to go down there, but Kevin knows if he gets down there, likelihood of him getting passed from behind would happen.
So lap traffic here. See if Kevin is able to use an opening in the traffic to try and find a way to get the lead.
Sometimes you either got to use the opening in the traffic or your front bumper. That's the two options you usually have.
Not able to quite get a run at Allgaier yet. 50 laps in Thunder Valley. Allgaier's led them all, but he's got a lot of company up at the front of this pack. ABC's NBA Showcase continues with an East versus West showdown. Jason Kidd leading the Knicks against Chris Paul and the Clippers. It's the NBA Sunday Showcase. Coverage starts at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific with Kia NBA Countdown. Then it's Knicks Clippers, 3:30 on ABC tomorrow. Big basketball fan who'll be busy doing otherwise tomorrow, like racing here at Bristol, joins us now in the booth. We'll talk with Denny Hamlin in just a second. Caution flag has just come out onto the racetrack. I'll find out what that's about when I can turn my back to the racetrack. Brad Sweet has spun the 5 car.
He'd been trying to do that for a while.
Yeah.
He's had a tough weekend.
All right, Denny Hamlin joined us, driver of the FedEx Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, starting in the number 3 position for the Sprint Cup race here on Sunday. How's your race car? How'd your practice go?
Really good. I'm cautiously optimistic that we've got one of the better race cars for tomorrow. I think obviously our teammates are very strong, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to have one of the cars to beat when it's all said and done.
Denny, I've tried to give people some insight as to what it's like racing here, but the challenges that you see as a driver that you face on this half-mile track.
Well, really, the challenges isn't running by yourself. It's learning how to pass at this racetrack. It's very similar to Darlington in the sense that you've got to time your passes. Anyone could go out there and run a fast lap when the track's wide open, no one around you. But it's the great drivers that you see like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch that adapt to this type of racetrack and they know how to pass at it.
All right, hold the rest of that thought for a second, because as you can see, everybody's on the pit lane, and let's cover some pit stops. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick makes his way down and into his pit box. Austin Dillon, meantime, is in ahead of him. Right side tires here. They'll work around on the left-hand side. Said the car is pretty good, but we're hearing a lot of the cars, like Austin Dillon, is tight. Let's go over to Vince.
Brad Keselowski's been running in the top 5 since the start of the race. Really likes his race car, says he can run the top or bottom. No changes for crew chief Jeremy Bullins, just 4 fresh good years. Dave?
The 7 of Regan Smith is running in the middle of your screen right there. He's going to get a wedge adjustment for a car that is tight off the corner, won't turn for him. Leader Allgaier called his turn in the corner phenomenal during practice yesterday. Today it is much tighter, and he's snapping loose off the corner. He'll get 4 tires and adjustments for that.
Now, track position off of the pit lane. Going to shuffle up by a little bit of strategy. Trevor Bayne and Brian Scott with just a couple of tires. Cause of the caution, this spin by Brad Sweet. Second yellow flag today here at Bristol. We'll be back. Back to Bristol, about to get back to racing. Shuffle in track position after Trevor Bayne and Brian Scott's teams changed just left side tires on this stop. They are running 1 and 2. That's Elliott Sadler, the car way down to the inside, losing a lot of spots on this restart, while Kyle Busch looks to the outside of Scott, second place. Something not right with the 11.
Ignition. Oh, fuel pressure. My fuel pressure's gone.
Not good. So last year's winner of this race, Elliott Sadler, dropping quickly to the back of the field as we stay under green. Denny Hamlin joining us for this section of the race. And Andy, want to come back to you for just a second. How about the left sides only call by Mike Kelly to get Trevor Bayne the lead?
We pushed Mike Kelly in the pre-race about this strategy and this new left side tire. Looks like he wanted to get a look at the left sides and didn't want to get 4. And he opted for the track position, and we've seen that really pay off in the past here.
Yeah, we even during cup practice, we saw quite a bit of left side wear, so it will be a change the guys will make. It's not just right sides that teams do anymore. They do as much lefts as they do rights now.
It seems like Goodyear keeps trying to improve that grip on the left side tire. When they do, it can wear a little bit premature, and sometimes you see it grain up. I don't know if you've seen that on the cup cars or not.
Yeah, and typically it gets better the more rubber that gets put down on the racetrack. The better the tire wear will be. Sam Hornish in trouble.
Kicked up out of the groove, keeps it off the wall, keeps going. Here's for the lead, Kyle Busch underneath Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, you knew it was a matter of time with Kyle. He's we watched him in practice. That 54 car was very, very strong. So you knew it was a matter of time before he made his way to the front.
Got Elliott Sadler's car just ahead of him. Sadler goes a lap down.
You know, Denny, it seems like, you know it takes a good car to run good and win races, but for Kyle, it seems like he can take just about anything and run good here. No matter what his car's doing, he'll figure out a way to go fast.
Yeah, some drivers and some tracks just click, and this is one of them for Kyle. He's obviously very good at pretty much every racetrack we go to, but this is one of his top 2 racetracks, I believe, that he can run.
I know you and he go back and forth. I mean, there's tracks that you're really good at, and you'll lend some insight as to what you do there. Did you talk to him about this racetrack?
Watch this traffic here. Oh, boy, that's going to change the lead. Brad Teague in the 70. That's going to give Kyle the lane he needs to come through to the lead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it even works better now with Matt. There's some tracks that he's better than me and Kyle at, so we'll be leaning on him. So really, when Kyle came to JGR in 2008, that's really the point where it stepped up my game. I felt like at most all racetracks we felt like we could win because we were able to use information from him. So we're thinking that Matt's going to have that same effect, and we've already seen how strong the JGR cars have been this year.
Look at this knot on the right side of the screen. Scott, Smith, Kozlowski, Harvick, Allgaier, all running through some traffic. Denny, you're sitting up here and you're watching all this action. I know you're trying to absorb everything you can for tomorrow's race. What are you looking for?
You know, really looking at the groove and seeing how high these guys are going. I know last year during the nationwide race, the groove was about where it is right now. Guys were starting to dip the right sides into the white where it was ground. Where in the cup race, really, you could run 4 tires all the way in the white. So it's looking like that the race tomorrow will have a lot of the same effect that we saw here in August.
Yeah, I know you run both of these series. And why is that? It seems like the cup cars always push the groove higher than the nationwide cars.
The cars just handle that much worse. You got to find new territory. Once your car handles bad, you got to find some new, fresh pavement, and that's typically when you start moving around.
Denny Hamlin joining us as we ride with Brad. Here, Denny, earlier this week as we came into Bristol, you decided not to appeal the fine that NASCAR issued you after the Phoenix race. Why?
Well, a lot of it is just to move on. We got bigger fish to fry than to worry about a $25,000 fine that over just words, you know, really. So if this was a technical issue, maybe it'd been something different, but really we needed to move on. My team, we needed to focus on trying to get a win this weekend. Obviously our teammate has already got a win in the book, so really for us it was just about putting everything behind us and moving on. Not being in the news cycle anymore? Yes, that's good. I typically like to fly under the radar, and that's been a tough thing the last couple weeks.
Watching a good race for position here with Brian Scott in the 2, Allgaier in the 31, and close there. By the way, Elliott Sadler's been told by NASCAR's got to pick up the speed in the 11 car.
And I tell you, I don't think it's ignition. You can see a little trail of blue smoke.
Yeah, and that's not a sign of ignition problem.
As we watch Justin Allgaier try to make this pass on the inside in tomorrow's cup race with a lot more horsepower, does that make trying to make this pass easier or more difficult with all that power?
It typically will make it easier to run the bottom when you have more horsepower. When you slow it down like you have to do in the center part of the corner when you run the low line, you've got that horsepower to complete the pass, where these nationwide cars are so built on momentum That's why you see most of the fast cars all running up high. That's the most time that you can put your foot on the throttle.
Elliott Sadler has been black flagged by NASCAR, called to pit road.
Warner's paying.
And Vince, that smoke coming out the pipes is not a good sign.
That's right. He says the oil temperature, the water temperature is pegged, and they had another carburetor that because they believe that it's a fuel pickup issue, but multiple problems, smoke coming out from underneath the hood of Elliott Sadler. Certainly a damaging afternoon as he looks toward possibly gaining a nationwide championship later in this season, and they're now going to turn it off as they've just given the sign that they're going to take it to the garage, take it behind the wall.
Well, the defending winner of this race is not going to make it 2 in a row. And Sadler will go behind the wall here less than halfway through today's event. In fact, not even a third of the way through today's race. Not the left turn you want to make at Bristol. Elliott Sadler's just done it. Reminder that later tonight, the Amalie Oil NHRA Gator Nationals qualifying can be seen 1:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Final eliminations from Gainesville, 7 Eastern time tomorrow, also on ESPN2. And next weekend, the NASCAR Nationwide Series is on to Southern California, presented by Kawasaki next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on ESPN. Here at Bristol today, while Kyle Busch leads this whole knot working through lap traffic, racing from 4th place on back, has got a lot of folks' attention, including ours.
It's a firestorm right now.
Yeah, it's waiting for something to break out there. Denny Hamlin joining us for our coverage at this portion of the race. Trevor Bayne in the 6, Regan Smith in the 7, Kyle Larson in the 32, getting through some of the lap traffic.
Yeah, we've been watching Kyle Larson for this year. We've been singing his praises. I mean, he seems to have a lot of talent. You know much about him? Raced with him yet?
Yeah, he beat me on Wednesday night at the go-kart track. He finished 2nd, I finished 4th, but no, oh, we got a wreck on the front.
Trouble. Jamie Dick, 55, was in the middle of that group that we were pointing at, and Nelson Piquet Jr.
So the 30 just drove in there and killed the rest of it.
It's the second one of these hard licks we've seen this weekend. We saw the 5-car in practice hit really hard. Almost kind of the same way.
Well, we talked about how fast things happen here and visibility and so on.
And as a driver, you really have to, once that caution, you hear it's out, you've got to slow down, get yourself slowed down. And what happens in these situations is you see them get up on it and then try to slam on the brakes, and then you can't steer the car.
It's so hard to resist not slamming on the brakes, but it's really what you got to do because it allows you as a driver to keep control of your race car.
Well, we were talking about this whole group of cars racing for 3rd position on back that had lap cars in the middle of it. That was the group where this happened.
He might have got a little help from Brian Vickers. Is that who that was in the 20?
Yep. And then
didn't give Brian much room there, so Brian was keeping it as low as he possibly could. He came down, and that was a lot of damage to the front end there.
That's what's so tough is some of these lap cars, you know, they're trying to stay out of the way the best they can, especially when leaders are too wide behind them. They got to make a decision of what lane do I want to go in front of.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a hard lick. Good to see PK jump out of that car.
Talking earlier about Brad Sweet in a crash yesterday during practice, kind of looked a little bit like that. This was during practice yesterday. There's a spin in front of him and just can't get stopped.
Wow, another hard lick.
It's Joey Gase in the 52 who was unable to attempt to qualify today because they didn't have a backup car. Everybody okay there. That all started when that 70 of Brad Teague spun. That was the incident that Kevin Harvick got through, ripped up the left front fender on his car. And you see another similar such incident today here at Bristol. Pit road closed, a lot to clean up there, and that is right at pit exit where the cars will be coming off to rejoin the racetrack. So NASCAR, to keep the safety workers safe as possible, keeping the pit lane closed while they clean this all up. Ouch. Still cleaning up at pit exit after the accident that's put us under the third caution of today's race for the NASCAR Nationwide Series here in Bristol. Pit road not yet opened for the race leaders. Denny Hamlin joining us topside for a part of today's Nationwide Series race. We've talked about tomorrow's race. Want to look ahead a couple of weeks. Your team and your sponsor have something special going on for the Texas Motor Speedway event mid-April.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. FedEx has teamed up with the March of Dimes once again. This is like the third or fourth year in a row. And what the fans get to do is go on FedEx's Facebook page and choose what paint scheme we're going to have on our race car for Texas. So you got two choices, and it's already a whole lot of feedback we're getting. So we're interested to see how it all plays out. I like the black car personally, just in case you're voting.
Lobbying, yeah, and a great cause to be tied into as well. So congratulations on that.
Absolutely, yeah, it's been great. March of Dimes is a big part of what we do every year. There's a march coming up that everyone should be aware of, so encourage everyone to participate in that.
So we'll keep an eye on the voting for that with Denny and the folks from FedEx, and we're keeping an eye on the cleanup here at Bristol and waiting for the pit road to be opened after this two incidents that became one here down the front straightaway that put us under the yellow flag.
You can see Jamie Dick gets turned around by Brian Vickers right there on the front straightaway. Looks like it's just going to be a one-car accident. He gets into the wall fairly good. And you can see Nelson Piquet and Parker Kligerman coming along right here as they start trying to figure out what they're going to do. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, Denny, which way these cars are going to go with it.
You just don't know, honestly. You really don't. Typically, as a driver, you would think with the big banking, it's going to come down the racetrack eventually, but you just never know.
Looked like maybe he just made the decision to go low, and that didn't turn out to be the right one.
Spin in front of you. Ease it back slowly. Slowly, slowly. Down, down.
Yeah, it's tough. When you really, as a driver, you really got to make that decision way before that point. You know, it's tough to say when the spotter said down, but gosh, you've got to know before that what you got to do.
There's a lot of times too that you probably even overrule your spotter. If he's telling you to go down, if you see a hole high, you're going to probably take that one.
That's typically what I like to tell my spotters is you just tell me where the cars are. I'll make the decision of where to go, because a lot of times it's tough for the spotters to know what kind of control you have of your race car at that moment.
Pit lane is open for the lead lap cars now. Looks like Kevin Harvick is going to be the first taker, and Harvick is the third place car. So Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski stay out and don't pit here. A little interesting twist there, Jamie.
Yes, definitely mixing up the strategy here. The call just now, left side's only for Kevin Harvick. I could read the lips saying, we'll know for later how the car will respond. Kevin Harvick tight through the middle, as well as Trevor Bayne. Let's go to the front stretch and Vince Welch.
Kyle Larson having another good run today, up to 6th place. Says the car's not bad. It gets a little freer as it goes. You see him in the 32 coming to his pit box. He likes the way it frees up, though, as the run goes. It's going to be a 4-tire change for Kyle Larson. This car was terrible when it rolled off the hauler earlier this weekend. Crew Chief Trent Owens has got it singing right along. Dave?
Vince, his teammate Allgaier led this race early, but they've had a car that wouldn't operate for him lately. Super tight in the center. That was the quote from the driver. So they'll change for, make a chassis adjustment. He's also having a little trouble with his brakes. Other than that, been just a typical Bristol day for Justin Allgaier, Alan.
Fighting for every scrap you can get. So a little twist there for the pit stops. There were a couple others who did not come down the pit lane under this caution. We'll reset the order for you in just a minute. First, let's talk with one of the drivers just involved in that crash. Doc?
Nelson Piquet Jr. coming out of the care center, and let's just touch base. First of all, are you okay?
I'm fine, thank you.
What happened?
Well, obviously there was a spin in front of me, which I kind of heard the spotter saying when I was off of track. As soon as I backed down, the car behind me pushed me, and I kind of didn't lose control, but I kind of gained a bit of speed, and 54 started to come down, or whatever, 55 started to come down, and you know, I got into a point. I think the same thing happened to Brad Sweet in practice. You know, I thought I could have tucked down, and it was a bit too late, and the car was coming down, and I tried to change direction at the last minute, and it didn't work out. I think obviously this is the first time really that I got into a wreck in Bristol, which I noticed last minute that, oh, we're a bit too quick. You know, it's I don't know. It's just one of those. Everything's so quick here in Bristol, and just part of it was my fault, you know, and I think the guy behind me pushing me in the back straight also didn't. I think his spotter didn't help much as well.
Happens in a hurry here in Bristol. Alan?
All right, Doc, thanks.
Denny, it looks so simple from here and watching, but as he's pointing out, it happens so quickly there, and you basically have one chance to miss it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like he said, is, you know, you see the car and all of a sudden it moves down the racetrack, and you have to alter your decision that quick. And who knows what happens with your brake pedal, whether it responds when you really need it. So it happens very, very often. We see it almost every single year in the Nationwide and Cup race. There'll be a spin and somebody comes in and piles in later.
All right, you're seeing the restart order there. First one off the pit lane, Kevin Harvick on the outside of row 3. Josh Wise gets the free pass, and we're going to try this again with Brad Keselowski to the inside of race leader Kyle Busch as we go for the green.
Interesting little tactic there that your teammate Kyle used to kind of let Brad roll up in front of him and then take off.
Yeah, Brad's been in the headlines a little bit about restarts here lately, so maybe he's just trying to psych him out a little bit.
Do you guys play good restarts?
Bump there. Sorry, Andy. Smith in the 7 and Hornish in the 12. Thought that was going to be big.
You do. Track position, especially at this racetrack, means so much. You've got to get every inch that you can and know that you can clear that second place guy when you enter turn 1.
Trevor Bayne 2, Brian Scott. Trevor Bayne 6, Brian Scott 2. I knew what I meant to say. 51, Jeremy Clements back behind the wheel of that car this week, reinstated by NASCAR. Suspended what ended up being 2 weeks for an unfortunate comment.
Trouble, he's in the wall now.
Oh, what's he got?
I got right front down.
Yeah.
Might have a hard time getting off the race. He'll have a gap here as soon as these cars.
Hold up, stay up, stay up, stay up, stay up. We got 3 more coming. Stay up, stay up. All right, go to the bottom.
Was running in 12th position.
43 hit you, did he?
Caution is out. Debris from the 51. How many times does that happen? You start talking about somebody and then something happens to him.
I was just about to sing his praises about how well he does with the budget that they have. It's basically a family team, and I know Jeremy does an awesome job. We talk about him all the time, finishing in the top 10 to top 15, really with an under-budgeted race team.
Now Clements with some troubles on the 51 that have put a damper on what had been a decent run for him in that 12th spot at the time of the accident, and the yellow flag out for just the 4th time. So I don't expect, Andy, we'll see these leaders in. They just made the choice to stay out a little bit ago, and now these other guys behind him have got fuel and tires.
Yeah, they almost have to play this hand now that they've kind of just made this decision. They'll have to run a few more laps and get inside of another window before they make their pit stop.
I wonder, by Kevin Harvick taking less, if they're not already setting up what strategy and what tires they want to end on by the time they get to lap 300.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good decision by some cars actually behind Harvick that made pit stops and got 4 tires.
All right, we'll find out. Denny, thanks for the time.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Denny Hamlin starting 3rd in his FedEx Toyota tomorrow here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup race at Bristol. We're under caution in the Nationwide Series 1 right now. Get ready to restart the Jeff Foxworthy's Grit Chips 300 at Bristol. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Pace cars off. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, 54 and 22 for the lead. Now remember, of this group, 54 and 22, Busch and Keselowski, 3 Dillon, 7 Smith, and 20 Vickers did not pit, while Harvick has fresh left side tires, and Allgaier has fresh tires, I believe 4 on this 31 car. I'll double check my notes here in a sec. I think that's a 4 on the pad.
Exactly right. His teammate Kyle Larson also took 4 and a few more. I like the decision to get 4 tires at that point in the race, Dave. Is this setting them up for the end?
Well, it can, Andy, as you know, but they also wanted to come and make an adjustment on the car because it was so tight. Other problems include his brakes. Those are what they are, as we see Kyle getting challenged for the lead right here. But for Allgaier, one of the good things is the temperatures have gone down on that 31. That was another problem he was having.
All right, so Allgaier, after leading the opening 60 laps of this one, coming back and running in 5th position, racing for 4th with Austin Dillon, while Brad Keselowski, after Kyle Busch left him a little bit on the restart, has rolled right back to him.
Yeah, I've been watching Keselowski's car. He's one of the cars that can work just about anywhere on the racetrack. He can get down on the bottom and make some good time through the middle of the corner. I've seen him actually make a few quick passes from the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, he got a little loose that last time trying to get the Kyle's bumper, I believe. They've been having Kyle's been having a little fun on the restarts here. I think at Brad's expense. He may take exception to that before the day's out.
As Denny Hamlin said earlier, there's been some discussion about restarts.
Yeah, I asked him about gamesmanship. Those guys play games when they're up there in the front.
Maybe a little more discussion about restarts, both after the race and on the team radios.
Little gamesmanship, huh? Yeah. You got a good view for it, don't you? Yeah, I kind of like it down here. I think he knows he better get away.
He's pretty good sport about it so far.
Yeah, so far.
Austin Dillon with a nice save a minute ago, you saw. Cost him a couple of spots, though, from 4th back to 6th. Could have cost him a lot more.
Yeah, he kept it out of the wall, too, which was a very good thing. He did everything but hit the wall right here.
Yeah. So again, back to 6th position from 4th after that slip. Just joining us, Just Allgaier started on pole, led the opening 60 laps. 2-tire call on the first set of pit stops at lap 61 put Trevor Bayne in the lead for a bit. Kyle Busch ran up and passed him. Kyle has led since. And on the last set of pit stops, lap 113, Kyle Busch did not come to pit road along with 4 others. We've got a couple of different schedules going on here as we just come up to halfway in this race. Still a long way to go. One other story in the opening part of this race, championship hopeful Elliott Sadler is off the racetrack behind the wall. Dr. Jerry Punch caught up with him.
Well, last year's winner, Elliott Sadler, a tough day today. Elliott, what happened out there?
Something internal in the engine let go, and I think a rock or something like that broke, and just a tough deal. We were hitting the racetrack a little bit. We were going to make adjustments and be okay. We were good on the long run. Just really wanted to run the whole race here. So this puts us in a hole, but we have a lot of racing left to do this season, and we'll try to get something back to California.
Sorry about your day, bud.
Yeah, it was a tough day. It's it's my favorite racetrack. Love racing here, and it's a shame to leave this place early, but we can't hang our heads. We got a lot of racing left, and this will make us stronger as a team, and we'll move on from it.
Elliott Sadler.
And that obviously a couple of minutes ago under the yellow flag. So Sadler is out at a place you heard him say is one of his favorite racetracks.
Yeah, and one that when you have your favorite racetrack, you certainly look to possibly gain points in the championship battle, and you come and give a lot away. You're going to have to dig down deep. But as Elliott said, it's a long season, a lot of racing yet to go.
6th place here. Hornish has gotten around Dillon. Last week's winner at Vegas, Hornish. Got a little extra passenger on the nose of that car. Paper up there blocking part of that grill open.
And that's not a good thing, especially here. You just don't have the wind speed to keep the car cool. You put it in this bowl and average speed pretty low. It's hard to
crash on the grill, so we get to the right person. We'll try to get it off, but right now you're clear by 3.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on the 12 situation as we come to the halfway point of this race. Leader Kyle Busch looking for his 5th Nationwide Series win here at Bristol. Would tie him with Kevin Harvick for the most ever at this racetrack in this series. But he's still got half his afternoon's drive yet to go. Super Saturday on ESPN continues tonight with 3 conference championships. At 6, number 11 Kansas State takes on number 7 Kansas in the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship. Then it's the Big East Championship at 8:30. Number 19 Syracuse squaring off against number 4 Louisville. And at 11, Oregon faces number 21 UCLA in the Pac-12 Championship. Super Saturday tonight on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. Part of Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. Caution is on the Speedway.
Hal Martin has torn the front end off of this thing just about completely.
Had another situation where a car came in late, and I believe it's going to be Reed Sorensen in the 43 that's going to get some damage too.
Yeah, Austin Dillon did a good job not to get any more damage. He does have some damage from that wreck, but he didn't get much.
Jeffrey Earnhardt, Hal Martin, Reed Sorensen.
Reed's got to fix that right front fender.
He was having a good solid day. This starts off at turn 4. This wasn't quite clear. Hard hit to the inside again. Comes back up onto the track. See Sam Hornish doing a good job of getting by Austin Dillon.
See Dillon got against the wall and got some front end damage out of that.
At 70 of Brad Teague was the car that the 44 went across the nose of, exiting turn 4. And then this.
Easy. Check up, check up, check up, check up, check up. Just check up, check up, check up, get down. Good job. Woo. Good job missing that, dude.
Second that.
In here, watch the 44. Stay low, 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 low. Back it down, back it down, back it down. Low, 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 low. Watch him. Come on, come on, come on. Keep rolling, you're okay. Come on.
See, Dillon makes pretty good contact, but didn't do a lot of damage. That car's pretty tough.
Well, Hal Martin had just gotten the free pass, gotten back on the lead lap, back at the lap 123 caution, and now is involved in the 5th caution.
Not happy with the 70. Brad Teague.
Well, that's where it all started.
Yeah, and really that was just, he wasn't quite clear, but I think the reason he's upset is he felt like that he should have given him a little more consideration being on the lead lap. And the 70 of Brad Teague is 8 laps off the lead lap.
Yeah, really, he's been flirting with not running fast enough speed to stay out there. Obviously, NASCAR has left him out there, but he's been running that high lane, and that's where a lot of the faster cars are trying to race.
Well, again, the mess winds up at the pit exit. And so NASCAR leaving the pit lane closed while that gets cleaned up. And the safety workers can affect that cleanup without having to dodge race cars exiting the pit lane. So we'll see if some of the front runners come down pit road once it's opened. 5th yellow happening right in front of Sam Hornish. And again, his spotter's words echoed here. Good job.
Check up, get down. Good job. Woo. Good job, miss.
Back to Bristol just as the pit road is opened and the leaders are all coming in. Kyle Busch going to be the first to lead the field down the pit lane. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick rolls down pit lane in fourth, saying the car just won't rotate through the center. They're going to make a wedge adjustment in the left rear and put 4 tires on it. They'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel. Remember, he took left sides only last time, so they'll mark that for later in the race. Meanwhile, Austin Dillon is in as well. Let's go over to Vince.
Brad Keselowski coming to pit lane, running second. He says the car is really strong at the start, fades a little bit. You see him upper left, and then it comes back to him. It's a 4-tire change, nothing else different in Sunoco fuel. Dave?
Kyle Busch will get a wedge adjustment. His car is a little bit tight from the center of the corner to the exit. He'll get 4 tires in Sunoco fuel. 4 tires as well for Justin Allgaier. He also has trouble turning his car in the corner. Let's see what the race off pit road looks like. Looks like it's going to be that white car down there, AB.
It is. I think they might have had a little trouble on the left rear on that 54 car there, Dave, and that's just enough to give Brad Keselowski control of this restart. Back live at Bristol as the field doubles up for the restart with 130 laps to go, and an interesting reversal of situations with Kyle Busch having control over Brad Keselowski on the last 2 restarts. This time it'll be the 22 with control after just the slightest bobble on this pit stop.
Yeah, watch the right side going pretty smoothly. You can see the rear tire changer just a little bit off. As they come around to the left side, it looks like the guy on the left rear has just a little hiccup getting the tire off, making the chassis adjustment as well. Doesn't take much to lose a spot. Wasn't a disastrous pit stop, but it was about a second off on the left side.
That's all it takes, just that little bit. Now Brad is the control car for the restart and has chosen the outside lane.
Green flag, green flag.
See Austin Dillon just coming off the pit lane. Justin Allgaier was tagged for speeding on the pit lane, had to go to the back of the line for the restart.
See Keselowski get the lead. Kyle trying to fight back. Such a huge advantage to be the one in control of these restarts.
Regan Smith, 7, trying to fill that lane to the outside of the 54. See if he can take advantage and get by.
Kyle Busch trying to do something up front that we really haven't seen done. That's make a pass up front for a first or second place spot. Just so difficult. Kyle's going to have to fall back into third now.
Sam Hornish up into the 5th spot in the 12. Right behind him is Chris Buescher, the youngster driving the Roush Fenway 16 here this week. Nice solid drive for Buescher and only his 3rd Nationwide Series start. Just 20 years old.
Regan Smith's number 7 looking pretty strong right now.
Car was fast in practices yesterday. See if he can make this work from the inside.
It's going to be a tough go down there, especially against Brad Keselowski.
Not sure he doesn't have the fastest car here.
Caution.
Caution is out.
Debris.
These leaders were pretty close. I'm not sure who was leading when that caution came out.
It's going to be close, yeah. Go back to that last time.
Debris in turn 4 is the reason for the caution. 6th yellow flag of the race. And remember that how it works is that the NASCAR timing and scoring system with all the scoring loops around the racetrack. We'll go back and see who was leading at the last scoring loop the leaders crossed before the yellow flag froze the field. In this case, it's Brad Keselowski, who's going to be the leader.
He gets to control that restart again. And Dale, we were just talking about that. It is a huge advantage for the guy that has the control, especially it seems like on these short tracks more than the Speedway.
Yeah, where you're so slow and knowing when you're going to accelerate and being the driver there on the inside trying to anticipate when you can. You just have to stab the gas. A lot of times you'll spin the tires and you're already behind because he has that split-second advantage on you.
We saw Austin Dillon just coming off the pit lane at the last restart. He's going to get the free pass to get back on the lead lap here, Jamie. What's going on?
Well, Alan, we showed 2 cautions ago. He was caught up in that mess and he got some front end damage. Now his car is running hot, about 260. So he pitted 3 times under that last caution. They put some Barabon on the front end. You see him flipping the switches there, trying to keep things cool. They're keeping an eye on that front end right now as you see the repairs right there.
All right, Jamie. So bad break for Dillon, turning into a good one because he is going to get back on the lead lap here for the restart. That's going to come up with just a little over 100 laps to go. Brad Keselowski out in front. Up to go back racing. 117 laps to go, and the green flag waves, and Brad Keselowski in charge. Last restart, he got away from Kyle Busch. Kyle was forced to drop back to third when Regan Smith occupied the outside lane. Problem for Kyle is he's got Kevin Harvick to his outside for this restart if he were going to try and employ the same strategy.
Yeah, I think Harvick probably is the biggest beneficiary of that caution right here. Let's see if he's able to get all the way to that second spot now.
I just have a feeling as we look at this restart order that there are some interesting things left to happen in this race.
Absolutely.
Let's see what this restart brings. Harvick trying to do the same thing to Smith that Smith did to Kyle Busch. There's a lap car ahead of the leaders.
Yeah, sets to go could determine who's going to be the leader here in just a minute.
92 car of Dexter Stacy just off the pit lane.
Regan Smith hanging tough there on the inside right now. Which way Keselowski goes with this lap car here.
Yeah, I was going to say which way Smith would go. If he was going to get in behind Keselowski or
nope,
try and use the pick. Which way is it going to be? Oh. Contact! Slide and a save by Smith. Harvick through to second. Keselowski looks like he's got some damage.
Got a left front tire rub.
Got some tire smoke. Left front tire rub a little bit. Little left front tire rub here. Just try to take it easy, see what it does.
That will actually get better. That rub will get better if it doesn't wear a hole in the tire before it does. It'll move that fender out of the way usually, especially here at Bristol when you got the banking. It kind of knocks that tire up into the fender. But he's still got a pretty good amount of smoke. This could be a problem for Keselowski.
As a driver, you're not necessarily seeing that smoke that much, but you're certainly smelling it from the cockpit, and you know that's trouble.
So Harvick trying to seize opportunity and see if he can get the lead away. And at the same time, probably knows of Keselowski's tire rub and is on guard behind the wheel there too, right?
Yeah, you're wanting to make a pass, but you're also having to be careful if something should happen to that tire immediately.
Looks like that smoke is fading somewhat on the 22.
Well, I said there were some big things still to happen in the race, Vince. One of them just happened to the race leader. There it goes.
We just blew it. Go low if you need to. Go low if you can. Go low if you can. Left side. Get it up. Left side. Get the tire up.
The race leader in trouble, Vince.
Indeed, they were going to put just lefts on it, but now Jeremy Bullins, the crew chief, has called for 4 tires. Significant damage there on the left front and also on the left rear, as well as the contact that he endured on the right. Now we've got a caution out. They're going to put those lefts on there. Bad break for Brad Keselowski.
Well, what a sequence here in this race. Caution flag is out. So Brad Keselowski racing Regan Smith for the lead, coming up on a lap car.
Yeah, I think Regan Smith just tried to drive down in there so hard and maybe make a little room for him. He got loose and up into Keselowski.
So that put that fender down on the left front tire of the 22 and led to this.
Yeah, you can see the left front just blew out coming off the corner. Harvick just barely gets by. He might have got a little damage.
And that could have taken out 4 or 5 of the top cars right there.
They're went. Stay in it, stay in it, stay in it. You're good, you're good. We just blew it. We just blew it. Go low if you need. Go low if you can. Go low if you can. Coming around. Come, guys, left side, left side. Get it up, left side. Get the tire off of it. Left side only. Get the tire.
Hey. Well, Jamie, Kevin Harvick's now the leader. What kind of damage might he have?
Well, he came on the radio and said, wow, that was close. And he said, guys, I just nicked him. I think we're going to be okay. Since we don't have many laps on these tires, let's just stay out.
That was phenomenal reflexes right there by Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, one on each side of that 22 car. That could have been way bigger. I can't tell you just how quickly this happened. We talked about how fast everything happens at this racetrack, but the reflexes of these guys are amazing.
Said Kevin Harvick had to be on guard. He was. Wow. Half a lap from another restart here in Thunder Valley. A very interesting twist of the story of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race just occurring. Brad Keselowski, Regan Smith racing for the lead, coming up on a lap car. Smith gets loose, contact, puts the fender in on the left front of Keselowski's car and eventually blows. Kevin Harvick dodges him and manages to hold the lead. Keselowski back on the racetrack now. 22nd place, a lap down. The fourth car, 1 lap down. We talked about on Countdown what kind of racing would we see here at Bristol today. Well, we're getting there on the slam bang front.
Yeah, you can see Kyle Larson jumped into 4th right there. He's having a great race so far for his first time here.
I watched him some yesterday at the start of practice, knowing that he hadn't been around here, and he was a little bit out of control, or maybe a lot out of control, but he didn't hit anything, and they worked on their race car. Now he's up inside the top 5, doing a great job here today.
And what we're seeing again, like we saw last August, is that inside lane can be very difficult to make stick. Kyle Busch squeezes in front of Hornish from the inside lane, but you got to work hard to make that pass down low.
Yeah, what do they say about the shoe being on the other foot?
Yeah.
He had the lead earlier, and he was making it work for him. And now that he doesn't have that lead, it's kind of working against him.
Yeah, that's a perfect pass that Kyle Busch made there, and jumping back to the gas really hard in the center of the corner and just getting enough space in between he and Sam Hornish to take that second spot.
So as we watch Larson race Regan Smith, 32-7 for 4th and 5th. Brian Vickers begins to come into the picture. 9-time Bristol winner Rusty Wallace and Big Brad Daugherty out in the pit studio as well. Rusty, based on what you thought you'd see today, how does what you are seeing compare?
Well, Alan, what I'm looking at, I know Bruton Smith really wanted to take that top lane away, the fellow who owns this racetrack, saying the racing wasn't exciting enough. Well, he's removed the top groove. He's forced them all to the bottom, the very bottom lane and the middle lane, Brad. And I believe I'm seeing exciting racing right now.
Yeah.
These guys are having a tough time passing. But when this racetrack was 3 lanes wide, I tell you what, it got a little ho-hum for me.
It really did. And last year, these guys figured out that they couldn't run that top lane. So as we come back this season, it's wheel-to-wheel racing. It's a hornet's nest up front, in the back. Great racing thus far. Enjoyable to watch.
Well, right now, you said we'd have 9 caution flags. We're at 7 right now. I predicted 15 to race it over yesterday.
All right, I got 9.
What happens, Alan?
Got a lot more still to go, Rusty. Hey, you know, interesting because they wanted to take the top lane away, but the bottom lane is hard to hook up too. So it's kind of like the old Bristol, but instead of everybody being on the bottom, it's that center lane you got to be in to go.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's where the compound banking comes into shape, Alan. This racetrack isn't one banking angle like it used to be in the old days. You know, I believe it's like 24 degrees at the bottom as it ramps up. And the drivers are finding that that center lane has got a little bit more grip than the very bottom lane, because the bottom lane is actually banked less.
And it makes it interesting because the guy, like we saw Regan Smith on the restart before, he was able to hold his line, hold position, keep up with Kevin Harvick, not necessarily passing, but have enough momentum to stay with him, as DJ pointed out. So it's made for some great racing.
Interesting as we get inside this final 100 laps to go.
It's a great race right here. Regan Smith looked like he had one of the fastest cars and got kind of slipped up on that restart, slipped back. Now he's having a tough time with some more. Kyle Larson's in front of him here.
Justin Allgaier, 31, trying to dig out from that speeding on pit road penalty he got a little while ago. Trying to pass Brian Scott in the 2 for 7th place. Remember, Allgaier started on the pole, led the opening 60 laps of this one.
I really like what I'm seeing with Justin Allgaier, though. I think in years past, and what I watched last year a lot of times, really tried to force the issue in this situation. He's kind of taken what it'll give him right now, knowing that there's still a lot of racing to go here. Before, he might have kind of used up his race car in trying to make his way back forward.
But again, that pit road mistake is a lot of track position to give up here at Bristol.
Keep your head up, bud. There's a lot of time left. We'll get right back out there. 10-4 on that.
Little encouragement there from the spotter stand.
I think that's all in their plan this year to help Justin understand that, you know, that you can't go past everybody all at one time or just knock them out of the way or tear your race car up. Then you're in worse shape than you were. And you can't win championships that way.
Yeah. Well, Allgaier is trying to dig his way back toward the front, while Kyle Busch tries to find a way to get up to Kevin Harvick. Harvick leading, Kyle Busch second, the two winningest drivers in Nationwide Series competition at this track, running 1 and 2. What a surprise.
2 NHRA Mellow Yellow drag races, 2 wins for women. As funny cars, Courtney Force grabbed the ultimate prize in Pomona, and Erica Ender scorched the Pro Stock Desert in Arizona. Will a woman do it again at the Gators? Find out with us at the times you see on the screen.
In addition to today's race at Bristol, other motorsports on the ESPN networks this weekend include the Amalie Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, qualifying at 1:30 a.m. Eastern tonight, ESPN2, and the final eliminations, easy for me to say, at 7 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. Next weekend, Nationwide Series to Southern California, the big fast 2-mile track there. Telecast presented by Kawasaki next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern on ESPN. Looking from second place at first place, Kyle Busch to Kevin Harvick with 76 laps to go here at Bristol.
Well, I see Harvick Rusty was talking about that upper groove there not being quite as good. Harvick keeps trying to widen this thing out a little bit, especially with that right rear getting hung out there, getting a good run off the corner with this groove, though.
Lap traffic to negotiate there for Harvick as he tries to keep his lead on Kyle. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and set the stage for the final laps. Jamie Little's got the race leader.
Well, what a 2 days it has been here at Bristol for Kevin Harvick. Yesterday in the second practice, he was an innocent bystander in a practice crash, had substantial suspension damage on that left front and fender. The team went to work, replaced everything, and this car has been a rocket all race. They've got it to turn a little bit better as he continues to thread the needle and lead the pack. Vince?
How about the performance of young money? Kyle Larson up to 3rd place, 20 years old, just his 4th ever Nationwide Series race. This car was a mess when it rolled off the hauler, and his crew chief Trent Owens changed everything but the number on it between the time it came off the hauler and the time it rolled on the track for the race. And now he's threatening to win this race. What a great performance from the Turner Motorsports group here today. Doc?
And what a gutsy performance by the 2-driver, Brian Scott. Woke up at 4 o'clock this morning with a stomach virus. Couldn't keep anything down. He was sipping water, Gatorade, whatever he could try to hold on in the pre-race day. And if he finishes right now in 7th spot, it'll be a career best finish at Bristol for a driver who's battling illness. Dave.
Dyer would like to improve his position there in the red 31. But he's not going to lose it on account of going over his head driving. You guys gave him a lot of accolades a minute ago. They all pointed toward a more mature Allgaier, a more championship-ready Allgaier. You see the battle for the lead right here. Allgaier also was talking big picture with his spotter during that last run. Don't do anything stupid.
Getting hot up front, in-lap traffic. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick trying to figure out which lane's going to go, which lane's going to be blocked, and how to pass each other.
Yeah, good luck with all of that. And trying to make 16-second laps around here, too. Trying to figure out what these other drivers are going to do.
Kyle ran Kevin down from about 5 car lengths back.
And they got another Kyle coming at him pretty fast, as we were talking about. See Kyle Busch trying once again to make this inside work.
5 more lap cars just ahead of these leaders.
And they're spread out from the bottom to the top.
Which way is it going to be?
Oh, this could be bad. I think Kyle Busch is in the preferred line. Harvick's trying to make a lane.
Kyle led that lap by a little.
Yeah, he's going to be in the preferred spot right here now, though. These other cars running up high. This is something you usually don't see. Harvick's fighting back, though. Oh.
Nice, 3 wide bottom. Still 3 wide bottom.
A little tap there as Kyle Busch slid up in front.
That was some driving by both of them.
You know, what makes this so difficult is encountering these. Lap cars are supposed to go to the inside. They're supposed to yield to the faster cars by doing that. But because this top is the preferred lane, they're staying up there, some of them. Others are running in the middle, and the others are running on the bottom.
How often do you see people get 3 wide at Bristol coming off a corner, and everybody makes it work? That was something.
Yeah, but it's got to be frustrating for the driver like Kevin Harvick to be in that position and lose the lead and let somebody else on the racetrack kind of decide it other than just racing him one-on-one.
Well, for now, Kyle has pulled away from Harvick. As we check on a race for 5th, Regan Smith in the 7, pursued by Brian Vickers in the 20. Quiet day for Vickers today, but he's steadily picking his way forward from his starting spot back in 14th. Well, Kyle Busch, after leading earlier in the race from laps 76 to 167, giving it up to Brad Keselowski, has now worked his way back to the front after being somewhat frustrated by that inside line, but he gets around Kevin Harvick and is in command with 56 laps to go. Late 1983, the late Jim Valvano led NC State through an unlikely 9-game run that culminated in one of the greatest national championship games where the Wolfpack upset 5 Slamma Jamma and heavily favored Houston. Survive and advance. Tomorrow at 9 on ESPN, the latest from ESPN's 30 for 30 series, presented by Buick. Back at Bristol, 46 laps to go, and suddenly a 3rd player in this race for the lead that's gotten bumper to bumper to bumper. Kyle Larson to the bottom in the 32 car, racing Harvick and Busch for the lead at Bristol.
He's consistently been running faster lap times than these 2 leaders and finally caught him. Running up on the high lane, though, is where he's made the time. Now that he's got there, he doesn't have that lane.
Harvick making a bid for the inside. He thought he could block Kyle Busch in right there. 3 wide again.
Oh, contact there. Larson just hit the back of the lap car.
Boy, you hope he hadn't pushed that right front back in on that right front tire. He's got a lot of damage right there.
Looks like he may have slid the front tires, too. We saw some tire smoke. Not slowing him down too much.
you can just sort of feel. Here's a guy getting up there, and he's about to race for the lead at Bristol with two of the best in the business, maybe getting a little excited.
I don't think there's any doubt as what he's excited. His problem is where he was making the time that Andy was talking about, being the fastest car on the track, was up on that very top side, literally getting the two right side tires up into the white part that other drivers haven't been up in. But they're not going to give him that now that he's gotten this far up, and he hasn't been that good on the bottom.
Travis Pastrana just going a lap down, 15th place in that 60 car today.
Travis done a nice job throughout the day, racing hard whenever he needed to.
And Larson still all over the back of Harvick, despite the damage to the right front corner.
Yeah, as they battled and kind of caught that lap traffic at different spots, Kyle Busch was able to put about 5 or 6 car lengths on them.
Got to be so impressed with this youngster who just has won in everything he's gotten in. And now here in just his 4th Nationwide Series race, his first Nationwide Series race at Bristol. He did run the K&N Pro East Series race here 1 year ago. But here in his first Nationwide Series try at this track, he's racing the 2 winningest drivers in this series at this track for the lead.
Yeah, look how quick Kevin Harvick closed that gap back on Kyle Busch when he was able to get up and run that high groove and get it that right rear kind of up in that white part of the racetrack. That's where he's making time. I don't know if he saw Larson do it, but he's also doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's a lot like we saw the Cup drivers do last August here. They were up in that white part. It looks like it's slick from our vantage point, but they were able to really make some time.
Trouble caution out. Jason White up against the wall, turn 2. Yellow flag with 35 to go.
Do right front there, dude.
What are you
for run over something or what?
Jason
Right
White
there,
running in 22nd.
Sam Hornish has been around every one of these accidents today, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
Get down. Good job. Wow. Keep digging. Still green. They don't see.
Now Jason able to drive that one away after that shot into turn number 2. And now we hit the big reset button on this race again after they clean up all the debris scattered from these race cars. And we'll have 15 cars on the lead lap for what's going to be about 25 or so laps to the finish.
Looks like Travis Pastrana might get the free pass on this ramp. See, Dale's done a good job of kind of hanging in there, staying out of trouble. Going to pay off and get back on the lead lap.
It's either Pastrana or Alex Bowman in the 99 there, waiting to check scoring and see how that
looks like
out.
it is the 99. I thought maybe it was going to be Pastrana.
Yeah, Bowman had just gotten passed by the yellow came out.
He worked hard for it, just didn't get it.
So let's talk these top 3 while pit road remains closed for a second. Kyle Busch has seen Kevin Harvick close on him in the rearview mirror, run him down a couple of times. Kyle knows what his car can and can't do in these various lanes on this track all day. Now he's also got this 32 of Larson, who's come up and joined the party. And he probably hasn't been able to see a whole lot of him back there behind Harvick. What goes through the thought process as you're getting ready to try and strategize out these final laps behind the wheel?
Well, Kevin Harvick really good on these restarts too, but it's such a huge advantage we pointed out to the driver that's in charge, and that will be Kyle Busch, who will take the outside. Harvick's best thing is that Larson, who is the fastest car on the racetrack, is going to be starting on the inside behind him. So he probably is not going to have to deal that much with him right at the start. And Sam Hornish, unless they all pit here, I don't anticipate seeing them come to pit road, but Hornish will be up on the outside, and his car just hasn't been as good here on the longer runs. So but you want to just make sure as a driver you get the best start that you can. I'm sure Harvick's thinking is he wants to just get back in line behind Kyle and work from that point. Kyle Busch, that is.
Yeah,
you got to be careful these days.
Yeah. All right, pit road is open here for the leaders. Not expecting any takers. Harvick's going to give up second.
Wow, that surprised me.
Wow.
Fifth coming in.
Yeah, that surprised me. I didn't think Harvick would make that stop.
Well, Jamie, here he comes.
Well, here's his thinking. He said, we're terrible on the bottom, and we'd have to restart on the bottom. So let's pit. They said, let's take 2. Kevin said, be ready to take 4 if we have a big enough gap. Let's go over to Dave.
Regan Smith has recovered from the earlier issue that he had racing Brad Keselowski for the lead. He gives up 5th position, though. His car simply will not turn in the middle of the corner. Their plan was for 2 right side tires. I don't know if they may even take 4 now. They've got this much time. Nobody else came down pit road.
Yeah, just a few takers here. So interesting there with 15 cars on the lead lap. And Kevin Harvick's probably going to be starting about 13th for this restart. How does it all play out? Questions still to be answered.
.29 to go at Bristol Motor Speedway for the Ram race rundown, and this one really could come down to 2 drivers. One, a young rookie in Kyle Larson in that 32. The other one, another Kyle, very experienced, Kyle Busch in the 54.
Yeah, Kyle Busch has got to be concerned right now. He's got this new rookie behind him, Kyle Larson, who wants his first win real bad. And in my opinion, right now is actually faster than Kyle Busch. So this is going to be an incredible restart. This kid can smell it. He can smell his first victory, Brad.
Yeah.
And Busch is going to have a handful.
He is going to have his handful. And Kyle Larson, Rusty, has been the fastest car on the racetrack consistently. And we saw him at the battle at the beach in Daytona, what he did on the last lap. Kyle Larson had to turn a young man around to get his win. What if he turns on Kyle Busch around?
Well, the 32 is going to start on the inside lane, probably. Kyle Busch up on the outside. He's already got that right front fender damage. Kyle Larson does, Brad, and he can't afford to mess that fender up much at all because it's so close to the right front tire, it's unreal. But the kid's got a fast car. He's got a lot of adrenaline going right now. And like I said earlier, he can smell this first victory. And this would be huge for this Nationwide Series to have a kid this young come in, win his first race at my favorite track, Bristol, Tennessee.
There you go.
We almost just said about Kyle Larson. It's almost like he doesn't even know what he doesn't know yet. That, by the way, is the Ram race rundown. Alan?
Well, Nicole, here it is, right? The 2 Kyles. Going to come to a restart with 27 laps to go. With a couple of other guys in those yellow cars right behind them, by the way, looking to find their own way through. Sam Hornish in the 12, Brian Vickers in the 20. Kevin Harvick will restart 8th after taking tires. And we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think Kyle Larson can get the lead from the inside here. His most important thing is to get into second behind Kyle Busch. Work from there.
27 to go.
Great.
He tried it.
Well, he gave it a go. Yeah, that was all that car would do without wrecking for sure. Now he can get back to that high line, see if he can get back to the bumper of Kyle Busch.
And then maybe think up a little different approach.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Sam Horn is trying to battle on the inside there. Vickers is going to take that 3rd spot.
And Kevin Harvick on the fresh tires in that 33.
Imagine it's got to be hard to control the adrenaline in this situation, Dale. Would never have won one of these races, and you're looking at it right in front of you.
It's right there. It really is. But this young man races so much and has been in this situation so many times. I think he'll be able to handle it. It's just a matter of getting some laps on his tires where he can really go. Vickers putting a lot of pressure on him right now.
Vickers finishing in top 5 in both of the Sprint Cup races at this track a year ago.
Yeah, Harvick got one more spot there. He's up to the 5th spot now.
Trying to put on a late charge. Harvick gave up 2nd, restarted 8th. That corner didn't go so well.
Kyle Larson is going to have a problem here. It's just overdriving the corner. He's been really hard getting into the corners here. You have to be kind of temper yourself there because you want to run up and try to get to the bumper, make as much time. But you just have to be careful. You do that, you lose a little bit of time to a driver like Kyle Busch.
Harvick with some company there, racing for 5th on the left. Sam Hornish there in the 12. And on the right, Kyle, and Brian. Brian Scott, 4th place, having a good drive. I know I'm repeating myself.
Brian Scott is having another great run, though, in that 2 car. Very impressive what he's done to start this season.
And as you heard Doc report earlier, under the weather to start today and unable to keep food down. And gutting one out here at one of the tougher tracks physically on a driver on the circuit. So Brian Scott running in 4th. Still looking to see if Kyle Larson can find that lane that allowed him to run up on these leaders a little earlier.
Yeah, it looks like his car came into him last time after they'd run a few laps, and it looks like it might be coming to him now.
And the other thing that I'm seeing, he's not charging a corner quite as hard. I can judge it by watching him and Brian Vickers. And now that he's got Vickers right off of his bumper, he's running the line that he wants to run and the speed that he wants to run. There's no doubt he is faster right now than Kyle Busch. But, as we've seen so many times, catching someone here and passing them is 2 different stories.
And there'll be some lap traffic for the leaders to work in and around as we get in these final laps. Will one of those lap cars make the difference in the outcome of the race?
Yeah, good chance of that. No, yeah, if you're trying to win your first race and you're trying to pass Kyle Busch at a track that he's phenomenal at.
See, the lap cars right there separated the 2 leaders.
Now, Kyle Larson's car just not that good on the bottom. He doesn't get to drive off the corner that he really gets whenever he's up on that high line. The good thing is he's put some distance between himself. See Kevin Harvick back there behind this group trying to take that 4th spot from Brian Scott.
I think Harvick's going to need another caution to get up and have a shot at this one, but he doesn't want to be the caution.
Those are teammates fighting over space.
Just wasn't quite clear. And
what Harvick was trying to do there is put that slide job on him, as you said, Alan. They just didn't quite have it made.
So Hornish gets through. Harvick back to 5th, and now Brian Scott left the race with Justin Allgaier and Regan Smith. 10 laps to go. And nothing's changed up front. Kyle Busch still leading Kyle Larson by about 5 car lengths.
Regan Smith there, he'd been working the inside really hard on Justin Allgaier. Wasn't able to take advantage there, but when all of this happened over there with Kevin Harvick and Brian Scott, he was able to get to the outside of Allgaier and take that spot away.
And in that picture as well, young Chris Buescher in the 16, having a top 10 run today.
Look at Larson. Last lap he ran was the fastest lap that's been run in this race.
I've just been watching. Yeah, he's pushing this envelope even more and more to the high side. He's using up more racetrack than anybody has all day. He's there. What's he going to do?
It's incredible the speed that this young driver has. I mean, he's going to have a shot at this thing.
Well, it may take using up a lot of Kyle Busch if he's willing to do that here.
Well, as Brad said a little bit ago from the pit studio,
5 to go.
I remember you driving a car number 32 in your situation. You had not won a race in this series. Would you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's your time. I mean, especially what I've seen from him in other series and things. We've heard Brad talk about what he did down at Daytona on that short track there, ruffling some feathers. I don't think that would bother him if he gets himself in that position. But he's dealing with one of the best right there in Kyle Busch.
I mean, look, when you sit there and you're one of these young up-and-coming drivers and you're watching these guys on TV and they're doing the bump and run and they're, have at it, if you will, that's what's on your mind, right?
Absolutely. And he's doing everything he can to get to the back bumper of Kyle Busch right now.
He's only going to have one shot at it because they come down to 2 laps to go, if he can get there. There are some slower cars ahead. And a lap and a half to go.
They're going to catch this lap traffic.
White flag. Last lap underway at Bristol. Who gets the trophy? Kyle Larson looking on Kyle Busch. Slow cars ahead, final corner. Busch tries the bottom, Larson goes high, squeeze to the stripe. Kyle Busch by a fender at the finish line.
Wow. That's closer than I thought it was going to be.
What a run to the checkered flag. Kyle Busch had to pick a lane.
That was all you today, buddy.
He had to pick a lane with those lap cars ahead of him. He chose the bottom. Larson took the one that wasn't occupied. It was close.
Good job, Adam. Still trying to figure out how I want it.
We are too. Good job, though.
Yeah, we have pictures, Kyle.
Kind of had to wonder about Kyle Busch's decision to run the bottom right here.
Well, I think the slower cars in the 70, that's what he didn't want to get trapped behind and leave the bottom open.
That close.
Wow. And there it is.
So we don't ever need to think from this point forward that Kyle Larson's not going to do whatever it takes to try to win the race. A great job by Kyle Busch, too. He just didn't quite get the run up off the corner. Gave the opening. Kyle Larson used up the right side of that Chevrolet.
Right and left side. He was actually rubbing up against Kyle Busch, too.
Well, for Kyle Busch, his 5th Nationwide Series win here at Bristol, tying him with Kevin Harvick for most all-time. And Joe Gibbs Racing continues its rock-solid run of domination at this racetrack, with the exception of Elliott Sadler's win in this race a year ago for Richard Childress. Joe Gibbs Racing has done all the winning in the Nationwide Series at this track in the last few years. Joey Logano last August, now 4 of them for Kyle Busch. Kyle says, I'm from Vegas. That's how the showmen end the show. That's where the bow comes from after he wins. What a finish at Bristol. Kyle Larson, 32, trying to get to the outside of Kyle Busch, 54, as they go through some lap traffic by a nose. Kyle Busch, the all-time winningest driver in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, gets another one here in Thunder Valley today. Oh, and by the way, he starts on the pole for the Sprint Cup race tomorrow. What a drive for Kyle Larson. Talk to him in a minute. First, let's check with the race winner in victory lane.
Well, Kyle Busch has had a cool-down lap, a little burnout in the front stretch. Take the checkered flag around to figure out how you won this race. What did you think finally?
I don't know. I just did everything that I could to try to protect the momentum, and I knew the 70 car there was going to be slow off the top, and so I figured, well, maybe I can have enough up off the bottom to keep the 32 at least to my quarter panel, which I guess it all worked out. I don't know how close it was, but maybe it was too close. All in all, though, I can't say enough about this whole team. You know, everybody on this Monster Energy, Toyota Camry, and JGR engines were awesome, and you know, it's cool to come out here and race in the Nationwide Insurance Series. We love being able to do it. We appreciate their support, and it was a good, comfortable day out there in my Butler seat, but most importantly, just battling with Kyle Larson. You know, it was a young kid like that. He's got a lot of talent, and he's going to make a name. Obviously, already has made a name for himself, but I think that he's got a lot going for him. So it was fun racing with him, but, you know, wish it was a little easier on my end.
We wanted you to take a look here at the second closest finish in Bristol history, because it was pretty exciting right there. That's all you got. It looks like the future is coming. You're going to have to watch him.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm getting old. I'm 27 and I'm getting old. So got a birthday here in about another month or so. But I think the first closest finish was me and Logano here 2 years ago in the fall, you know. So I don't like making them close, but it's more exciting for the fans. So that's cool.
You made it fun for us today. Kyle Busch again in victory lane at Bristol. Vince?
And it was another Kyle that may have just been the star of the show, if not for Kyle Busch ending up in victory lane. Kyle Larson in the Turner Scott Motorsports car. What's going through your mind as you're chasing down first Kevin Harvick and then Kyle Busch, knowing that career win #1 is just beyond?
Yeah, there we got a long run there, and I was catching them, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do once I got to them. So we caught that caution, and then Trent Owens said to stay out, and got a an okay restart and got loose underneath Kyle and got to the top, and just kind of rode around for a few laps, and I was pretty happy that Kyle went to the bottom in the last corner because I knew he was going to give me one more shot to get by him, and we kept the fenders on it all day and had to use them up there coming to the finish line just to try and beat Kyle. But man, it was a heck of a 2 days. We didn't practice very good at all yesterday. Trent Owens and my whole Turner Scott Motorsports guys changed a bunch of stuff on the car to make it better, and it obviously showed that it was good today. And I want to thank my whole crew, Cottonelle, Chevy, and Nationwide Insurance for giving us a great series of racing, and hopefully we can get a win here shortly.
The hole opened up right at the end coming to the checkered, and Kyle gave you just a little bit of room. What's going through your mind as you're trying to squeeze in?
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to have enough. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. I didn't think I was going to have enough momentum to get by him, whether he squeezed me or not. So, but it made for a heck of a finish, and I hope the fans enjoyed it because I had a lot of fun today. And like I said, hopefully we can get some wins here shortly because the first few weeks haven't been very good.
Made it interesting, made it exciting. Kyle Larson. Alan?
Vince, thanks. It was interesting and exciting.
Yeah, he's kind of made himself the story of almost every race he's been in so far for different reasons, but Dave for the right reason.
So Kyle Larson chases Kyle Busch to the checkered flag here at Bristol today. Busch getting there first by the hood length of his car, and there are the top 10 finishers in Thunder Valley. More to come. Great finish today here at Bristol for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Kyle Busch won barely over Kyle Larson in the second closest finish at this track in Nationwide Series history. Some other things to sort out while we were paying attention to the race for the win coming to the checkered flag. There was another race for position that got to be a little bit bumpers. Chris Buescher and Justin Allgaier in a race for 7th place, resulting in this post-race conversation. We check in now with Jamie Little.
And Justin Allgaier started on pole, and there at the end it got interesting. What exactly happened between you and Chris Buescher? What did you say to him?
Well, we just talked. I mean, obviously, he's a very talented race car driver. He's going to be here for a long time. And we're going to have to race together for many years to come. So, or hopefully we are. And, the last lap, we drove down into turn 3, and I knew there was a lap car on the inside. And so I protected the middle. And instead of just checking up and being okay with finishing where he did, he drove in the back of us and moved us up out of the way. And, it's tough because when you're here racing for points every week and you're trying to go for that championship, every point counts. And when guys come in and they don't race for the championship and they want to prove something, they get sometimes too aggressive. And unfortunately, last corner, last lap, it screws guys up like myself. So it's a tough day. I made it tougher because I sped on pit road and didn't help out our guys, and we had to come to the field a couple of times. So great job to all the Brand guys, and proud of how good our car was. I'm proud that we got the pole, but we'll get it fixed up and come back here in the fall.
How challenging did the lap traffic make the race for you guys running up front today?
It was unreal, really. I was pretty amazed at the cars we were catching and how we were catching them, and honestly how hard they were racing. Some other guys were going right by, and I saw a couple of our guys get right in the fence because they got caught up and stuff. So it was tough, but that's kind of Bristol. You get used to it, and I was glad to see the top groove come in. That was a big deal. That helped us with the lap traffic, and we'll know that coming back in the fall and just change our strategy a little bit.
Question on timing and scoring right now. We're not sure if you finished 8th or 9th, Doc.
Well, we do know that Sam Hornish, though, is the points leader by 23 points. And, Sam, every time someone spun today, you had to dodge a bullet to get by. How many near misses did you count?
Well, I counted about 30, but I don't know if it was that many. It was definitely 3 or 4, and it was a tough day for us out there. We felt like we had a good car, but just trying to maintain our points lead and do things the right way, and just steadily worked our way up throughout the day. Obviously want to thank Nationwide Insurance, Alliance Truck Parts, and all the fans here at Bristol that came out. I never run very good at Bristol, and it's kind of like one of those things where it's an evolution of learning all the tricks to running around here. And I feel like today I got a lot closer to what I need to do, and hopefully it'll make us that much better for the fall race.
Last week we're in victory lane. This week a top 5 at Bristol. What's been the big difference for you and this Penske team thus far this year?
I think we're just firing on all cylinders. That's one of the things I said. We had a little bit of a miscue early on, first pit stop, and then after that the guys were just on it. Greg made good calls. Greg and Brian and all the guys on the team made good changes overnight. Took us from having probably a 15th place car to easily a top 5 car if we just took care of it all day long. So I think it's just a total team effort, and that's what it takes to win the championship.
Great job by Sam Hornish finishing 4th. Let's go to Vince.
And no surprise to see Brian Vickers back in the top 5 today. Vickers finishes 3rd for the 2nd week in a row. You guys are getting closer and closer to getting that win, aren't you?
Yeah, we really are. The Dollar General guys did a good job. I really wanted to go for the win, but it was going to be tough to pass on the bottom, the 32 and the 54. The good news is we didn't get a win, but we got 10% off for DollarGeneral.com customers on Monday.
Talk a little bit about the transition that you've made here in a full-time nationwide series. You guys got off to a little bit of a rough start working with Kevin Kidd as crew chief, and what you guys have been able to do the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we got off to a slow start, but the last 2 weeks have been good, solid point stays for us, and that's what we're doing. I'd love to get up there and start banging doors with those guys for a win, but we just need another good, solid day. And one thing I want to say before we get off is thanks to Dollar General, Gibbs, Jimmy Johnson Foundation for supporting ClotConnect.org. It's Clot Awareness Month. If you don't know much about clots, go to ClotConnect.org and check it out.
Thanks, Brian. Well done. Brian Vickers. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Kevin Harvick talking to Ernie Cope here, just climbing out of the car. Excuse me, Kevin. Great run today. Another typical, awesome Harvick run at Bristol. You're running second. You give up position to pit for tires. Why?
Well, when we were going through traffic, I knew that Kyle's car was better on the bottom, and I knew our car wasn't very good on the bottom, and he was going to have the top to restart. And I really thought we would take off better with our Armor Chevy than we did. We just were really tight for 7, 8, 9 laps there, and then had to work a little bit of traffic. So didn't all pan out, but we tried to win the race. That's the only reason that we're here, and didn't all work out.
So a little contact with your teammate in the late laps, and you got out and went back to talk to Brian Scott. What'd you say?
Well, I kind of dove in there, and the spotter had said clear, and I didn't ever even look. And I don't want to run over any of my teammates, that's for sure.
Kevin Harvick.
And second top 10 for Parker Kligerman in just 4 races now. That has to be a little bit of redemption after last week's debacle in Las Vegas for you guys.
Yeah, we've had top 10, top 5 speed every week, and this Span Chippers Toyota Camry, Joe Gibbs engines, it's just it's been a rocket lately. We haven't quite figured out some of the kinks. The new team gelling together, we figure those things out. We definitely passed the most cars today, that's for sure. But as you said, redemption from last week, breaking that track bar mount, and we get Bole sunglasses, Butler seats. Everyone in this Nationwide Insurance Series is such a fun time to be here. And I want to say that, we've showed the speed to be there. Now it's about clicking them off, and I really think we're surprised some people come halfway through the season because Eric Phillips' his whole team has really got some good things going on. We just haven't been able to show it exactly. So I'm excited for the rest of the season, and clicking off top 10s like this is what will bring us to Homestead, top 5 in points, and hopefully fighting for a championship.
All right, Parker Kligerman driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports. You better get to victory lane and congratulate your boss man.
All right, Jamie. Well, Kyle Busch celebrating after the second closest margin of victory in the Nationwide Series, and Kyle was correct in victory lane. He was the winner of both. This was the closest margin. Kyle and Joey Logano race into the checkers.
It's just what this racetrack brings, and Kyle Busch is always at the front battling for those wins, and today was just another example. Barely held off Kyle Larson.
Just barely. Looked like if Larson hadn't gotten against the wall and maybe made contact with Kyle Busch, he might have gotten there first.
So the Kyle and Kyle show today in Thunder Valley, and the Kyle and Kyle conversation about it afterwards, as young Larson going to victory lane to visit Kyle Busch and talk it over. And Jeff Gordon with a comment as well on the Twitter.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. Must have been brought up right, because he seems to be a very humble young man.
He's humbled and he's small in stature, but there's a lot of talent in that body.
And a terrific drive and a terrific finish today here at Bristol. Some themes we talked about starting the day. What kind of racing would we see? Young guys versus more experienced guys. Well, the winningest driver in this series ended up winning out but a young guy sure gave him all he could handle.
Yeah, he sure did. And I think it's just a great example of the type of talent that is in this series. I think we stated at Daytona that we thought this might be the most competitive season. I think you said it, Andy, and I think we're seeing exactly that.
Yeah, we're seeing some great battles, and I think the racetrack proved out, too, that it's kind of back to the old Bristol. A lot of the action, we saw all these cautions. We saw Brad Keselowski kind of get crashed out of the lead while they were racing around lap traffic, so it had a little bit for everybody today.
Had 8 cautions for 54 laps today, 8 different lead changes among 8 drivers, and in the end, a margin of victory about the length of the hood of a car for Kyle Busch over Kyle Larson as we swing over to the pit studio and Nicole.
I don't know about anyone else, but I'd like to see that kind of finish every single week.
Man.
Whew. You know, a couple of weeks ago when we started this season, we were talking about Kyle Larson, and Rusty, you looked at me and honestly, you said, I don't get why we're talking about this kid. You get it now, don't you?
I do get it now, but look, before I get started, I want to congratulate both you guys for picking the winner today. You finally got a winner. Congratulations. That's good. But yeah, I did say, why are we talking about Kyle Larson? I don't even know Kyle Larson. Never heard of the kid. He said, well, all the champions are talking about him. That's the reason we're talking about him. Well, I'll be talking about him for a long time now. The kid, he drove like a veteran today. He looked great out there, was aggressive. And I really liked this interview. I like the way the kid speaks, too.
We see these kids come along in sports, and with Kyle Larson, he has undeniable talent. There's no doubt about it. And he reminds me a lot of a young man that came along in basketball years ago, LeBron James, who has blossomed into a superstar. LeBron James, pretty good. I think Kyle Larson is going to take that same path. If you're a race fan, you need to be in front of the TV the next few Saturdays to watch this young man develop. You truly are going to be amazed and have an opportunity to watch something special.
But it's a new challenge. This is the kind of track where all these drivers cut their teeth. As the season progresses, we go to different types of tracks. Next week, we're at the large, California Speedway. How do you take the momentum from today and transfer that over to the next track?
That's a great question. And any racetrack you go to where you run good at and you leave there with a little extra step in yourself, it's really good for your team. Your team's always pumped up, you're fired up, and you're right, Nicole. All these drivers cut their teeth on the short tracks. So this was a short track. You know what I saw a lot of Kyle today, Kyle Larson, was his open wheel experience coming in. He had that right rear tire up high, just working that groove, And I told you, I said, you can tell that open wheel experience is coming in because he kept using that momentum.
Yes.
But at California, it's about momentum also. You got to keep that motor wound up. It's a big 2-mile racetrack, and I got a feeling he's going to be in the top lane there also.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting as we go forward and we start getting to more of the 1.5 mile tracks where the program becomes more important. The simulation software and those types of things start to separate some of these teams. But I did notice about Kyle Larson at Daytona, he had never drafted in his life, and by the second session, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Kid's very, very adaptable at what he's doing. Like I say, undeniable talent. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Keep in mind, he's a development driver for Chip Ganassi's team. So next weekend, we head to California as we take a look at the ticket to the race and all of the races we have coming up. You can join us next week, Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on ESPN. And now I'm going to stop talking because clearly I can't. Alan, please take it from there.
Okay, Nicole. Ran out of gas at the end, but gave it your all going for the win. I like it. So there's the places that were upcoming for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. A couple of big, fast, high-speed tracks in the next couple of events. And for Kyle Busch, another win and pole position for tomorrow's Sprint Cup Series race here in Thunder Valley. Nationwide Series Championship looking forward. Sam Hornish holds on to his lead. Justin Allgaier slips just a couple of spots left in second, and Brian Scott continuing his solid start to the season.
Yeah, this is going to be a great battle. Sam Hornish looks like he has control of it right now, but so much racing to go.
Yeah, Kyle Larson makes it up into the top 10. Elliott Sadler, tough day for him, falling 7 spots.
So all in all today, an established winner in the Nationwide Series shows once again why he's one of the best, while a young man who's been getting a lot of billing is one to watch, shows why that billing is well justified. And the finish came down to the length of a hood on one of these Nationwide cars as Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson duked it out to the checkers at Bristol. Next week's on to California. What do you expect?
A lot of good racing there. Obviously, the speed's way up, but watching these young drivers try to challenge these Cup drivers, it's been a lot of fun, and they're showing right now that they're ready to battle.
Yeah, the race next week will be a little different, maybe not quite as much contact, but a big, wide, fast racetrack out in California.
That's next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, presented by Kawasaki on ESPN. Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, is up next. The SWAC Tournament, Prairie View A&M, and Southern. That's next. Great finish today here in Thunder Valley. Kyle Busch edging Kyle Larson to the checkers at Bristol.